Welcome to the Honeycomb Hideout, a place where music, stories, books, community, and local adventures come together. Find the room that fits right for you. I'm Habaka KFJ, and this week's episode is about summer vacation. Well, when T-Rex Radio announced our annual summer vacation from June 21st through September 9th, I welcomed the opportunity to slow down. About a week into that vacation, I made another decision. I decided to take a vacation from social media too. That's right, you heard me. The only exceptions were my Substack community, because I just started my Substack, and so I'm actually still learning how to maneuver and work Substack. It's quite different from any other platform that I've been on. And so except through that and also my honeybees who subscribe through my website newsletter, everyone else, I simply allowed myself to step away. And at first, I noticed something surprising. It wasn't the silence that was difficult, because of course, like I said, I'm working through my Substack and also my newsletter with my subscribed honeybees, but it was my own reluctance to slow down. We get ourselves in such a rhythm, and the hecticness, is that even a word? The hecticness of, always being on the go, that when the time comes to slow down, we actually find it really difficult, and I think we start having withdrawal symptoms. At least I did. And so, like so many of us, I've become accustomed to feeling like I always need to be posting, promoting, responding, or creating something new. Somewhere along the way, we begin to believe that if we're not constantly visible, then will be forgotten. But what if that's not true? I love a great challenge. How about you? And so today is July 15th, and I can honestly say that this break has been one of the healthiest gifts I've given myself. I've begun settling into my own natural rhythm again. My creativity feels fresh instead of forced. Ideas are returning because they have room to breathe. I've been able to joyfully begin work on my third anthology, which I'll tell you more about that. Well, you'll have to just wait and see. Continue cultivating my Substack, like I said, because I'm learning about it, and it's really new to me. And prepare for my August 2nd book signing. And simply enjoy, creating without feeling like every moment has to be shared online. The irony is that I haven't disappeared. I've simply become more present in my own life. And here's the realization that made me smile. Maybe we've become so afraid of being forgotten that we've forgotten the beauty of allowing ourselves to be missed. So I'm doing this experiment. And there is something wonderfully freeing about stepping away long enough for people to wonder how you're doing, rather than constantly reminding them that you're there. And sometimes the most productive thing we can do isn't another post. It's making another memory. So if this summer offers you the opportunity to slow down, I hope you'll take it. Rest isn't falling behind like we think it is. And sometimes it's exactly what allows us to move forward with renewed purpose. Yeah. So let me read this to you about rest. And I want you to meditate on this. I will imagine what my body needs. I will daydream for freedom. And you have permission to experiment with what rest can do for your body and mind. This is about more than naps. Rest is anything that allows you to connect to your body with your mind. Slowly enter into the portal of rest. And while you are there, you will find abundance. Exhaustion resides in a space of scarcity. Rest is abundance. Rest is yours now. Rest is imagination work. The time to rest is now. And so, in me reading that, it also reminds me that the universe will sometimes force you to rest through another way, by getting sick, by having a small accident that makes you slow down, and I'm talking from experience because it has happened to me on several occasions. And, that's why we have to listen to our bodies and slow down, because if we don't, like I said, the universe will make sure that you slow down. And you remember that little saying, or have you ever heard someone saying that they were burnt out? Well, that's the same thing of becoming burnt out, because you're so busy going and going and going, and your body is actually exhausted. And instead, you keep going because you think that if you slow down, everything is going to fall apart and it won't be able to get done without you. And, we fool ourselves into thinking so many different things about why we can't slow down, when actually, even in the Word, not to get religious or anything, but, even in the Word, a long time ago, I was taught from reading the Word that Sunday was the day of rest. And then as society started evolving, what happened? They even took away Sunday as a day of rest. I remember when on Sundays, everything was closed down. You couldn't go anywhere, or you couldn't go to the store or anywhere because it was closed. And because that was the day that was set aside for resting for everyone. Or you remember looking forward to the weekend. But, now we have really, this is just my opinion, society has reshaped our way of thinking about rest into thinking that if you're resting, you're lazy, or if you're resting, you're not getting the job done, or if you're resting, why are you doing that? so many people, even when they take a vacation, they're not even resting. They're still not resting. They're still working. They're still on their phone. They're still, you know, just to tell you, I took a vacation once when I was living in Italy just for the weekend. I went to Croatia with my girlfriend, rented a small bed and breakfast, like an Airbnb, and where we could cook and do everything, or we went to the restaurant. And by the way, the fish there was absolutely amazing. But in that weekend, I turned my phone off and I didn't communicate with the world at all. The only thing I communicated with was my girlfriend and the time that I was in. And believe it or not, just a weekend, which is 3 days, right? I felt like I had been on vacation for 30 days, for a month. And it was so refreshing. It was so invigorating. And guess what? When I returned back to my singing and festivals and teaching and my store, all of those things were still there. And I was able to bounce back even more in my glory, if you want to say, and, you know, exuberance. It was just absolutely fantastic. So if you can't slow down for as long as I'm slowing down right now, then pick a weekend and 3 days. If you can't do 3 days, do 2 days. If you can't do 2 days, 1 day. And I promise you, you will be saying, oh my goodness, Habaka was right. Take 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. Turn off your phone. Don't communicate with anyone. Don't do social media. And just enjoy yourself, whatever that is to you. Because guess what? Also, being on vacation, it doesn't mean that you have to leave and go somewhere. Because sometimes even going away can become another job. The hustle and bustle of the people you're with. And so take a real vacation and a real moment to rest. And so, like I said, just remember, that rest is not falling behind. And sometimes it's exactly what allows us to move forward with renewed purpose. And, I want to tell you that, I'm just going to leave this with you, until the next time. Don't worry. We need to stop worrying so much and just let things play out and meditate, pray about it. Meditation is a form of prayer as well, But anyway, I just want to say this is Habaka, and thank you for spending a little time with me here in the Honeycomb Hideout. Take care of yourselves, and don't be afraid to let the world miss you once in a while, okay? And whether you've been with me since the beginning or you've just discovered this little corner of the world, welcome to the Honeycomb. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad that you're a honeybee. Because once you stumbled upon this place, you have now become a honeybee if you're not already. Until the next time, stay real sweet, and God bless you. Bye-bye.